step I take, I move my truth. Every time they tell me stop, I use every comment, hate that makes my fuel. Gather up my energy and boom, I hear them talking, saying the way that I move is so reckless. That is a part of my mind I've been blessed with, giving my blood so I am relentless.
All right, this is the Keep Hammering Collective. This is a roadshow edition, and I have some VIP guests here. Why don't you introduce yourself straight now?
I'm Nathan Mativi.
David Pollock.
Nathan Mativi, David Pollock,
And Tim Winslow.
Tim Winslow. And we're here after just wrapping up a bear hunt for grizzly bear with a bow. These two are my guides here. And Tim, this is, I mean, you're like day to day running this operation, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of the coordinator here and making sure everybody gets in the right spot and try to make these hunts happen.
So, I don't know how old you are now, but when you're these guys' age, is this what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm still doing that a little bit, but the really neat thing about how we operate here specifically is both these guys have been in a tent with me when I was in their position. We've spent lots of formidable years in tents together. So when I send these guys out with anybody, and that goes for all the guides here, they know exactly what I expect and they know how to rock and roll and make it happen. We all think in our own ways, but all on the same page. It's a tight family here.
Yeah, I went and looked at, we went on a little tour last night. David took me out and I looked at like, even where you're putting the daily rations in there. And it's like, I like that it's hunting camp, but it's very, there's a process.
Yeah.
I think you talked about, you said formidable out there, but also formative as far as developing that process. So I would think the lessons you've learned, you've tried to impart on these guys. And, what I love about that is you can have the best lessons and try your hardest. If you don't have the right guys, it's not going to happen. But with the right guys, then you have the results like you have now with a crew that it seemingly has more experience beyond their years.
Yeah.
Just because they're leaning on maybe hearing stories or hearing from you or spending time in the field.
Yeah, we definitely make it a big priority to put some pressure too on these guys, and because it's like anything, Cam, as you know, pressure either will make you crumble or it'll make diamonds. And only the guys that can endure a little pressure can remain and grow. And that's why you have guys that are here that are 24 years old that are like seasoned, salty Alaskan guides because they put the pressure on them. They've had the pressure, and the way we operate around here, man, we don't waste any time. We don't just hang out. If we're not guiding, we're hunting or we're training or we're doing those kinds of things that really help the process move.
And also, I know that that's great. I mean, that's what makes a special group of people, for sure, a group of men. But one thing I do like is these guys understand the history of this in particular, because this is a partnership now between you and Kip, but these guys have been there, and Dave was telling me, well, this used to be the main lodge. Then we did the addition, the bar used to be down there, and like everybody knows the story and they're bought in, so that's the biggest thing, is having the workers, I'm not saying these guys are just workers, but just in general, having the workers take ownership over the company too. And I can tell by how these guys talk that they care. They care about not just that hunt, the hunt we had, or the hunt any other client that goes out with them have, but also how it reflects on what you guys are building here. Have you noticed that?
A big thing is these guys know, and I tell them all the time, is that they are the best guides in Alaska. This is where the elite guides start from, and I'm very, very biased. But they know that this is where it starts, and that they do take ownership, and they make sure that they have all their stuff squared away, that they're the best they can be, especially on hunts like yours, Cam, where you can't have a guide that's not locked in. You can't have a weekend warrior guide that just rolls out and be like, yeah, I guess I'm going on a hunt. You got to have a guide that eats, sleeps, breathes, and is a total savage. And this is where it starts. I mean, this is we're breeding savages out here. That's the goal, and these guys recognize it, and they help the younger guys come up. That we have some younger guys around right now that they're taking responsibility over them and where they need to be, and that's what it's all about. It's everybody watches out for each other.
Yeah, it's not too dissimilar to kind of how the regiment works for where David's other job. But yeah, everybody has to rely on each other, and it's like a vetting process.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, you call these guys, these are the seasoned guys, and you said you had young guys. To me, these guys are young guys.
Yeah.
But there's even younger guys.
Yeah.
But it's that what these guys do in selection is called peer review. So they'll tell you if this kid doesn't have what it takes, and so that's what. You're right. That's what elevates the whole game.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear. Let's hear a little bit. I know, but let's hear a little bit of your story and how you got here. And this is Nate.
Yeah. So I grew up in Pennsylvania, and I was in a hunting family, so we did a lot of hunting from the time I was very young. And I about the time I was about 20 or so, I really got the bug to go out west, and I kind of called around to a bunch of outfitters, found a guy in Colorado, moved there, worked at that place, decided this is really cool, I really enjoy this. I gave Eric a call. He said, if you're serious, man, come up. Came up, he threw me out 70 miles from here, side of a lake, middle of nowhere. Spent the whole summer out there. We built a cabin. He, after that, moved straight into the big game hunts. And pretty much ever since then, I've been just hammering that.
Yeah.
Big game hunt, after big game hunt.
I'm not entirely convinced that Nate's biological parents are human. I actually believe that he was raised in a wolf den somewhere. And so I think that's all just a made up backstory so that we'll believe that he's like
It
part
sounded
of
pretty good.
It sounded good.
It's
yeah.
not perfect, but
Nate
I think I told you that out there, Cam. I've been working with Nate since he came in as a packer.
Yeah.
Some of his first hunts with us were him packing for me out on the coast, and we had to teach him some things, table manners and hygiene and stuff, but he's a killer.
And those are the teachable things. What
Yeah.
Nate has is the intangibles, where there are certain guys that are born to hunt, and they have certain intangible instincts that are higher levels than other people. And he's got high level instinctual hunting capabilities where he can go in and he can predict and anticipate animals' movements that you can't teach somebody. You can teach somebody to eat with a fork and a knife, which we're still working on that. But you can't teach what he has, and that's what's really important is trying to really move forward and have Nate teach other guys and grow other guys in that way, and really tap into some of those instincts that come very natural to some guys and are higher levels than other guys, than trying to be something that he's not, trying to fit into a box that he's not, because Nate's his own, specifically a very, very stealthy bow hunter himself. And it really shows, and his pedigree speaks for itself with all the clients that he's had. Is the success that he's had is really due to all that kind of some of that natural ability, and also just he works really hard. Mm-hmm. I'm never worried about him taking a day off. I'm never worried about him staying in a tent. And I don't know if you've had guides do that or try to take time off or whatever, but that's not our style. Is like, if you're hunting and you're all in. So that's kind of a little bit about Nate, that we've spent a lot of time together, and I've grown to really appreciate his skill set.
yeah, it's you're right that I'm not so sure hunting instinct can be taught, because probably just as long as man's been around, there's been good hunters, decent hunters.
Yeah.
And shitty hunters.
Yeah.
So what makes a good hunter a good hunter? And some of that is that instinct, and it'd be hard to verbalize, here's why I'm doing what I'm doing, or here's what I see.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just little, you just feel the wind a little bit here, and you're like, oh, I'm better, there's a screen here, and I'm going to stay in the shadows here. It's like, it'd be hard to go through that with everybody.
Yeah.
Some of it is just excuse me, but to me, I always think of it as like, it's just, you're just reacting. It's like a fluid thing, because I've seen people out there and they're like, get to one spot and they're like, fuck, and they're like looking like, okay, now what should I do now, and then some people are just like, it's just happening.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the impression. I mean, David has his set of strengths too. Nathan has his sets. But together they were great. I have a follow up real quick. So when you came out here 70 miles to the lake and all that, did you second guess what the decision to come up here ever? Or
No
you were never.
I was like, this is the spot.
You didn't want your mom?
No, not really.
So you just loved it from the get go.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
And being a packer isn't generally the most glamorous job, right?
absolutely not. It's hard work. It's
What does that
labor,
entail? Like, I
being
think they
a
say packer,
packer,
but it's just you do everything. And
Yeah,
and hopefully you don't have to be told to do everything. You just know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a training process to be a guide. I mean, you go out there and you do like the hardest parts of the guiding part of the thing, but you don't really know what you're doing yet. You're doing all of it, but you have no idea because you're just like you're not up to speed with like everything that's going on.
And even as packers with these guys, like it's really important for me and for everybody else is you pick up on their decisions. And if they're willing to do the little things from the get-go, if you're willing to do the little things right, you'll do the big things right. If you're willing to make little decisions right, you'll make the big decisions right. And being a guide in Alaska, it's all decision making and decision making that can result in life or death in some cases for clients. So it's very important. Like Nate was saying, we put the screws to these guys that are coming as apprentice guides, packers, and what we're really judging is how they react to very uncomfortable scenarios for the normal human.
Yeah.
And also their decision-making process and how they make decisions under pressure, because that will it usually just follows that suit. So if they're young and they're making good decisions, they'll keep going and they'll keep growing, and we can use that and we can, harness that and grow that.
Yeah.
So
It's seems like out in the mountains, it's just never ending problem solving.
Yes.
It's just like you're navigating. Like, what's the problem set today? Okay, here's what we need to do. Because you can't predict. You can't predict the weather, obviously, as we know. It sounds so cliche, but there's a lot of other things you can't predict out there. And I loved it. I want to hear. So, David, let's hear. I know we talked about it out on the mountain, but let's hear how you got here.
Yeah, I'll get there. I just wanted to touch real quick on what you were just saying. I think one of the things that makes this outfit special is, like Tim was saying, the level of judgment from the leadership top down. When Tim and Eric before him, when they get a young packer and they see that potential in them, I remember the first time I laid eyes on Tim was across the lake there on a mountain. Saw him flying in Super Cub, and we did a hunt together. And when he sees like the potential in a young guy like that, our guides put a lot of work into developing those young guys out on a hunt, putting them in those positions to see how they make decisions and to develop them. And I mean, that's what gives you what you've got today. I'm from New York, grew up there. I moved up here right out of high school, and I was living in Alaska for a couple of years before I got involved in the hunting industry. Just thought it was fascinating. I never did any hunting out west growing up, and I mean, got out west and then you got up here, like the scale of animals, the scale of nature and wilderness is just, hard to compare anything to. It always fascinated me, and I was doing a couple other things in my late teens, and then when I was 20, I called about 20 different Alaskan guides, getting the same spiel. I'm looking for packer work, moose season coming up. Eric said the same thing to me. If you're serious, be here this date. Showed up, and it was a culture shock, like seeing what they expect out of those young guys, and we do put a lot of pressure on them. There's a pretty high attrition rate with kids that show up thinking they want to do this and then realize what it's actually like. And then I learned from Eric and Tim and guys like them that have been in our employ for years, and it's been a hell of a ride. I mean, I'm honored to work for Tim and you were complimenting the effort we put in out there, and to me, it's like no question about that kind of stuff. When you work for people you respect, you're like happy to put in the work, and I don't know. When everything goes well and it's a good hunt, it's the best job in the world. I mean, people, for some people, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to come do something like this. People dream of this for years, and I get to, go out there and do it and go along for the ride, get all that same experience, and, make money doing it. So, pretty good deal to me.
Yeah, it's a couple of points like to what Tim was saying too. You can tell this is another cliche, but it's so telling. Like even if there's a little piece of trash, how many guys will just walk by it.
Yeah.
These guys, it's the little things. I know we were, had to break down camp yesterday because you guys are going to move, I think. But it's just given that overview, make sure all the garbage is gone, make sure didn't forget anything. Did the same thing up on the glassing knob when we went to go get on the blood for my bear. But that's the kind of little stuff that I notice. See, of course, everybody wants to get their animal and have a great hunt, but it's like, we can't. I don't know. I just noticed those little things.
Yeah.
So when you said that, it resonates. One thing, David, that I think you're really good at is communicating with the hunter. On what the goal was. What the plan was, what we're going to do. Of course, the goal is to kill a bear, but how are we going to do it? It's going to be long days up here. It's going to be, and I'm asking questions. I'm talking about, man, so what's on the other side of that mountain? Because I'm like ready to go. But, just knowing the process, because as a hunter, anybody who comes in, mostly, they want to do what they want to do. But above that is they want to know their guide has a plan.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, because once a hunter starts questioning the guide, fucking downhill. It's downhill.
Yeah.
So you did a great job on not just saying, but also how to deliver it, because also some guys struggle with that too.
Yeah.
Talking to another man.
Well, at the end of the day, it's a far cry from like waiting tables, but it's customer service.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Every client that shows up here is different in their capabilities physically, mentally, their experience with hunting, their experience with hunting out here and out west and everything. We get the whole, gamut of clients.
Right.
So it's about, looking at what your client can do, what they want, and seeing how to best set up the hunt for their satisfaction. And that's a big thing that we impress upon young guides as we develop them is figuring out that process, reading your client, reading the situation, and figuring out how to
because some of it's
keep them informed and keep them in the game,
Yeah, because we'll get a guy that you met one yesterday, never been on a big game hunt. And then we have you. So these guys know right away, and they'll assess the situation and go, you know what? Cam will understand what I'm talking about. I'm going to lay out the plan that we have for him. Versus a guy that's never been on a big game hunt, the information that he needs looks a lot different than what you need, to understand the situation. So a guy that's never been on a big game hunt, and his first hunt is a grizzly hunt, his concerns are more with am I wearing the right clothes? Am I going to be okay out there? Where yours is hey, what's our plan? How are we going to go kill something with an arrow? And so that's kind of this whole process. These guys making good judgment calls from as soon as the plane lands and they start working. It's really important.
It's I think I told you this yesterday, but I know it goes both ways. As a hunter, when you show up, I've been doing it a little while, and it's like when I get out with a guide or somebody I'm hunting with, I can tell really quick, either this is gonna be a fucking long hunt.
Yeah.
It's we're gonna have to buck the odds to get a kill here. Or with these guys, when we went out, first bear, got in bow range pretty good, ended up passing it up, but after that first stalk, I was like, we're gonna get a bear killed.
Yeah,
I had
locked in.
I was and then I also judge hunts by how often are you in bow range, and that's a tough one too, because then in my head I'm always thinking about, okay, if I haven't been in bow range in 5 days, I'm gonna get one chance. I better make it. Whereas if you're having opportunities we're it kind of okay, then I adjust what I'm thinking, how it's everybody, you're out there glassing 17 hours, you think about a lot of different things, so everybody overthinks everything on the mountain, right? And, but I had a really good feeling on that first stalk. I do want to also mention, I hear a lot of things like people say, oh, I want to do what you do, or I want to work, not in the hunting industry, but just like make a living doing what, and you guys are perfect examples. You want to do it? Fuck, there's opportunity out there. But do you really want to do it, or are you just saying you want to do it? Because you guys showed up and said, hey, I'll pack moose meat, which hard work, where those things are killed, where they died, hard to even get footing, let alone with all that weight on your back. So if people really wanted to do it, there's opportunity. You guys showed that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of misconception about that, like I said, with the attrition we've had with some backers, and you were talking about Naked dropped off for that first hunt. If he missed his mom, we've had backers call the satellite phone first night out there and be like, get me out of here.
Yeah, it's definitely not for everybody, but man, how sweet is it when the guys you have, it is for, it's like, because I know I'm just recalling my experience, but when you have to continually hype people up and talk them into why they should love it, I've had to do that. It's like, God, we get back there, God, isn't this amazing? I mean, there's not a road as far as we can see, and you can just see them, and they're just like, it's great. And it's like, you just can't make somebody love the mountains.
No, you can't. Yeah, I think a lot
you
of
can hope they do.
Inherent.
Yeah. But you guys are definitely, you got the right crew. I can't speak to everybody, but if they're like these guys, and
it's this weird. It's not a weird, but it's this dance cam that it's like, especially on a bow hunt, you get guys like David is such a good leader and a natural born leader, and he's in that position for a reason. But it's that relationship where you're like, hey, I'm gonna lead you as a guide, but we need to make decisions together. It's that, like, and I know you've probably run into situations, I know I have, where I'm like, especially on a bow hunt, where I'm like, and this is kind of rare, you get a guy like you that's been on a ton of bow hunts, but you get that hunting instinct to come out of people where they're a bow hunter and they may be a new bow hunter, but you look in their eyes and you go, what are you thinking, man? Because they're like locked in, and you're like, and you can get feedback and make decisions out there, that it's that just coordinating and trying to make it happen together is, and it's just special. It's just special. I don't know, nowhere else to say it, but when you're like flowing as one predatory unit, like a couple wolves, just like, you don't have to communicate with each other. You just look at each other and you just go,
I feel like we had some good stocks kind of like that.
Absolutely.
Just to be that close that many times.
I
was thinking, I was like, one time, you can get lucky one time. But then I was like, and we got in tight 2 times in the same day. So I was like, if we just see a bear, it's dead, because every time we've made it happen. So we had some good stocks. It should be talked about, because it's not the case everywhere, but you guys, there was no ego clashing that I saw. You know what I mean? It's just like, you guys are pretty collaborative on, let's do this, and it's like, and it was, how it is. Everybody has egos.
I guess that's exactly it.
And to be able to let that ego down, even for me as a hunter, and guides have to do that too, but mostly working with each other. I just saw that you guys, really were on the same page, and you might think something different, or David, you might think something different, and you were like, okay. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I think that comes from the top down, from we both trained up under Tim, and he's made very clear, like, how our guides should operate, our standards, our expectations, and we both knew going out there we're on the same team. We're not in it for any glory, we're in there to kill a goddamn grizzly bear. So
No, I love
that part easy.
I love when the standard is excellence, because I don't like lowering the standard, because you don't have guys who can get it done. But when you say this is a standard, either you do it or it's not going to work. And so that, to me, that's kind of what you talk about when you talk about standards. It's like, here they are, and it's rare to have not just any company like that, but let alone a hunting outfit. Montana Knife Company was founded by Josh Smith, one of the world's most experienced master bladesmiths. Josh has been making knives for 30 years, and there's something really special in supporting companies that are made in the USA. The blades are manufactured and shipping straight from Montana. Montana knives carry a multi-generational warranty and free lifetime sharpening. They're designed, tested, and built by hunters. MKC is a hunting knife company first and foremost. MKC is unmatched and have the sharpest knives out of the box and the easiest knives to sharpen. It's been really fun to watch a company explode as one of the fastest growing companies in the knife space. Don't be fooled. They're still a small company and just hired their 55th employee and are looking to hire about 50 more in the next year or so. So if you live in Montana, tell them Cam sent you. MKC knives sell out within minutes of being released. So head over to montanaknifecompany.com. That is the best way to find out when they have knives available. Use code CAM10 for 10% off your first order. My favorite blade is a Blackfoot 2.0. Montana Knife Company, working knives for working people. Black Rifle Coffee is celebrating a decade of coffee in 2024. They're the only coffee I drink, and supporting them is supporting veterans and the outdoor community. One of my favorite packages that I get on a monthly basis is a Black Rifle Coffee Club exclusive coffee roast. The only way you can get it is if you subscribe to the coffee club. The exclusive coffee club subscription gives you nothing but the best. It's a coffee of the month club where you get premium roasts from the best farms worldwide. Black Rifle Coffee is America's coffee. It's veteran owned and operated. They support hunting and conservation and give back immensely to the veteran community. They're offering followers of the podcast 20% off on your first purchase to the coffee club or order on their site using code KEEPHAMMERING to get America's coffee today. Talk to me about Kip's involvement now too, because I know this is a new one. I've talked a lot to Eric, who is previous owner. I think so you and Kip are partners on this, is that? And so talk to me about how that worked.
So I knew, when Eric first decided to sell or decided to shift gears, and me and Eric had been working together for 14 years, and we had been kind of partners the last like 5 years, and he had come to me and said, hey man, do you want to keep doing this? Because I've been doing this for 20 years and I kind of want to change the plan. I want to kind of do different things because he's so talented. And then that came about and I said, yeah, I want to keep doing this. And friends of friends, being Kip, I knew that Kip was very passionate about Alaska. And I knew Kip really, really liked to hunt. He liked to bow hunt and he knew the score. And we just connected and I thought it was interesting timing how all these things work, is that I was in a place, my buddy Eric, who had the business, was in a place, and Kip was also in a place where we all kind of came together and it was like this perfect junction of like, hey, my buddy wants to get out, I want more in, and Kip was in a position like, hey, I want to do something too. I love Alaska, I love hunting. This is what I want to do when I'm 60. I want to be in a cabin in the woods in Alaska and hunting grizzly bears. That's what I want to do. And with his history as the co-founder of Under Armour and all his entrepreneurship, it was really, it's been very refreshing, the momentum and the insight and just the freedom that he's put on this place to like, hey, let's make this place excellent. Let's do it.
Yeah, Kip is, I love him like a brother. And he's so passionate, as you said. It's like, and he's always loved Alaska. So it's like when he called and told me that, hey, might be buying into this bushwhack, and he sent me the website and all that. And he's like, there's giant moose, and you can hunt grizzly every year. And I'm like, sounds great. That sounds awesome. And he made it happen. And that's just that's what he does. He just makes shit happen.
And he's going to be soon, because he's got to still do a little bit more time. We didn't touch on this about being a guide, but being a packer is not just something that like we enforce. It's actually like legal. Like you actually have to do 2 years in Alaska being an apprentice before you even qualify to be a guide. And so Kip's like, he's going to be a guide next year. So he may be guiding you. So if he passes the guide, the guide test, the vetting of the guide process.
He's going to hate that.
If he abides by all the guide commandments.
So if he abides by all the guide commandments.
I saw the guide. There's some strict ones in there. Number 10, I think.
So it's good, man. I mean, yeah, we just I think we're all in the same. We're heading in the same direction. You know,
Yeah.
it's like everybody has their skills, has what they're good at, and everybody's going in the same direction with the same vision of making things excellent, making everything better.
Yeah.
I'm also very passionate about too is just getting people exposed, because if you get a taste, you'll make it happen again and again and again. I think the barrier to entry in Alaska has always been so steep.
Yeah.
You know, even with DIY moose hunts, they're not cheap. Guided hunts, guided grizzly hunts, it's not something every 25 to 35-year-old guy can do. But if you give him an opportunity to go mountain hunting for a black bear, give him an opportunity to just get his foot in the door and experience something that he can afford, that is like you're going on a grizzly hunt, like you're going on a Dall sheep hunt. It's the same thing. You're hunting black bears, but you're experiencing it, and that taste of Alaska, that perspective shift that happens when you're out in the mountains and you're like, whoa, dude, like a plane just dropped me off and I'm like here, like I don't have a truck. There's a grizzly bear right there. There's like you're in it. You're immersed in it, man, and it's something that will change the course of men's lives.
Yeah,
is what I've seen. It like literally will change someone's life, and for us to give somebody that opportunity just to get their foot in and be like, dude, you got to just try it. And they may not have the money for a long time after that to maybe come on a guided moose hunt, but they have a perspective shift that stays with them their entire life.
Yeah. No, it's life changing. The mountains will definitely change your life one way or another. They might decide they never want to go back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for a lot of men that I see a lot of it. I interact with a lot of it on social media. A lot of guys are missing this in their life. You know, they need something like this.
Yeah.
And it can change it. It's like they're probably not going to come up here and want to work and be a packer, but man, it does. It changes the trajectory. Yeah, it's a special place. I was thinking too, man. I don't know if we wanted to go through like the hunt specifically, but that's what I was thinking. I put up a post, and like the little things about making coffee up there on the hill, the little jet boil.
Oh yeah. That's a
Stuff like people see like these little clips, and that's where they're like, how can I experience that?
Yeah.
Fresh coffee on the top of a mountain grizzly bear hunting. You know,
Dude, there's nothing better.
what man
Yeah.
doesn't see
Yeah.
that and it hasn't done it, been like, I want to know what that feels like.
Yeah.
You know, because in that little clip, I think James is sitting there and he had like maybe some rain on his shoulders or something, and you know, we're looking over grizzly country, got a fresh. It's like, man, that's fucking living, isn't it?
Oh,
dude?
yeah.
And
Yeah, you can't
watching
beat
that plane take off is just like, there's a special feeling when that drone disappears and then you're standing there on that bank like you were, you know, and
Yep.
it's so special. But these guys also, I got to give another compliment too. Some people, it's going to be challenged with these hunts, but these guys do a good job of setting out like a fresh cup of coffee after a couple hours, you know,
Yeah.
once you've been up there glassing for a while. Because I'll be honest, for me, I hadn't sat up on a hill here in Alaska for 17 hours before. And all of a sudden I was just like, do I have enough clothes for like just sitting? I had everything I had on. And then I would have all this stuff on and be like, God, can I shoot my bow in this?
Yeah.
And I'd be missing the target.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I can't shoot with this coat on. Shoot again, miss the target. I'm like, well, can't shoot with this on either. So finally we figured it out. I'm like, this is all I can be wearing.
Yeah.
But you have to, that's real life reps.
Yeah,
And
right.
you can't just have all your clothes on with the bow and think you're going to go out there and make a shot. But so there's challenges there that, of course, you know, I learn on every hunt. I'm always trying to learn. And on this one, I learned that I got to figure something out when I'm sitting glassing in the wind for 17 hours and have a plan, right? So I learned that, but it's these guys by saying, hey, let's have, you ready for a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
That keeps people engaged and looking, because you can't kill a bear unless you find it, right? And to find it, you got to be on that hill.
Yeah.
And if we got cold and there's like, maybe we should head back to camp and get a cup of coffee, that's going to get guys off the mountain. And then you're not out there hunting.
Yeah.
You're not going to see anything. So then we'd have ramen noodles at about maybe 1 or 2 in the afternoon. and then, you know, the little snacks. But these guys were always like, there's always a plan, but the plan is always like, we have to be here.
Yeah.
We have to be glassing. So I thought, if we got 4 people with glass covering, you know, we can see miles up there.
Yeah.
We'll find a bear. And when we find, as I said before, when we find a bear, it's dead.
Yeah.
So it's, but yeah, it's those little things, those little wins, giving people little goals, like just making it to a fresh cup of coffee. It seems so small, but man, it's
really
huge.
nice.
Yeah, we have a huge emphasis on being the best mountain baristas we can.
Yeah, he had to go get his coffee or his coat the other day, and he's like, I was like, "Where's our barista?" I told James, I'm like, "We're ready for coffee," because they're just so like so that's on top of everything, locked in on everything. Yeah. But yeah, it was such a. I mean, I think it was one of the best trips I've had. You know, I haven't done a ton without Roy, but me and Kip did that one a couple years ago. And that was big because that was the first year I'd been back since Roy had fallen. But this one, you know, there's always pressure. You just want to make a good shot. I don't want the animal to suffer. So there's pressure, but man, this one was, I don't know, it's one of the most special hunts that I've had in a while.
Yeah, that's great.
And I'm so appreciative to you, to Kip, to Eric for what this has become. And but yeah, give me your guys' thoughts on the hunt just in general.
Well, I think I said this to you out there a few times, but a client with your experience and ability and natural instinct, like we were talking about, that innate like hunting ability that not everybody is born with. I mean, our job was pretty easy. Also, you know, you were right there working with us the whole time. We're glassing, you're glassing just as hard. After the kill, you're getting in there, skinning, packing out the hog yourself. Like, I love that attitude. I love seeing guys out there and enjoying every moment of it, enjoying the slow times, the bad weather. You know, you wanted the whole full experience, and that's what you're going to get, whether you like it or not out here.
Yeah, and you know, these guys don't know what to expect too. You get a guy like, and I wouldn't say this if they didn't tell me this in private, but they're like, dude, Cam's the real deal. If you were some Tool influencer, they'd be like, yeah, he's a Tool. And I'd be like, and I'd sit here and I'd go, yeah, you guys did great, Tool. Yeah. You know, but they're like, hey, he's like the real deal, man. He's legit. So, you know, these guys as guides, and I'm sure you get so much hate going your way that they don't, a lot of these guys are just like trying to be like, okay, is this guy real, or is he just some like influencer guy that just is like just a facade? And right away they recognize like, hey, we're in it and we're going to be on the same team and we're going to rock and roll. Yeah. And so
whenever that, you know, footage gets cut together and everybody gets to see what we got up to out there, like, I think it's hard to deny in that moment when you had to, you know, show what you were made of. You did a hell of a job, and like I said, that makes our job really easy. So it was a pleasure, you know.
Thank you. It's I feel exactly the same. But yeah, no, I mean, I just, you know, guess you don't know what's true on social media, but to me, it's like, I always thought that being real or being authentic is like, well, you're who you say you are.
Yeah.
And so that shouldn't be that hard, but it is hard because people, they're like, you know, here's how I am, but I wish I was more like this. So maybe we'll just film stuff like this. But it's, you know, it's no different than you guys. I've just grown up doing this, you know, and that's, you know, after 35 years of bow hunting or 40 years of hunting, you should kind of know how to make good decisions out there. So it's no different than that, but well,
not only that, you're like a killer. Like, you shoot and you're strong and you run and you're good. But you're like positive. Your attitude is positive, and like, you're mentally tough, and that really helps, because you get sometimes when people are like, this ain't gonna happen, and you're like, I'm telling you, like, time here glassing results in bears. And you're very good about being like, never getting that down slope emotional thing going, and that's something that is hard to replicate. It makes it really fun for me
Yeah.
as a guide to hunt, where I don't have to like constantly like try to bring the energy up and
Yeah.
and try to motivate people. When they're motivated themselves, it's like, all right, let's just do the thing we're here to do.
Right.
Not hard.
Yeah,
It's easy.
I do think that, part of that, I learned a lot of that from Roy. He was out, no matter it was always like, yeah, we're going to get it done. So I just, all the way from way back, it was like, we're just going to get it done. It doesn't really matter what happens. There's always going to be something, but none of it's going to matter. Because I think that if you get distracted by that, the woe is me, or, the odds don't look good, then you're not really prepared when crunch time happens.
Yeah.
You're not you're not thinking like aggressively, because you've just been thinking how it's a shit show and it's not going to work. So
Yeah.
how can you switch to being aggressive and taking advantage of that opportunity that the animal presents
Absolutely.
itself? So unless you're like, no, it's going to happen, I'm going to be ready, I'm going to make a perfect shot, you have to think that almost all the time.
Yep.
Otherwise you're going to fuck it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep. You
that-
don't want to be on your heels during the hunt.
right, because we're hunting predators in this case, so we have to think like a predator. You start thinking, your energy has to be that, your decision making has to be that. You're like, if I can get it to here, that bear is dead. And I think that's a big thing. People, they don't go through the mental reps at home thinking about, no, okay, I got to be ready because there's going to be challenges. It's not going to be perfect.
We're going to be wet.
We're going to be wet. There's going to be a lot of
It's going
things.
to be miserable.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of things to overcome, and just knowing that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
You got any thoughts on that?
I was just thinking, what you were saying about like, keeping positive, not getting down on yourself like that. And you knew this already because you have the experience you have, but I kept telling you this because, it's my standard, just feel like it to clients. But like, as soon as you could be in the hardest position where you haven't seen things for a couple days, you're feeling pretty negative, the weather's bad, all that. And as soon as you feel like it's never going to happen, bear walks out 200 yards and it's dead in a couple minutes,
Right.
And that's us young guys learn out here pretty quick after doing these hunts, all year for a few years. Like, you got to be ready. You got to keep that edge at all times because it can go from, the sorriest of scenarios to ground down, arrow in a bear, like pretty damn quick. So,
Yeah, I mean that bear we killed the day before, we saw 0 bear. So we were on the hill for 17 hours, didn't see a bear.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. We were like, we saw that one early yesterday, got it killed. So it's I do want to paint this picture too. Is like, this is incredible hunting. It's far from guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's hunting, and grizzly they don't have the concentration. They're more nomadic. They cover a lot of country as compared to maybe a brown bear or maybe even some black bear. But these things cover country. They're always, we watched a sow and cub come from the river, go to the top of the mountain, and it was about 6 miles in one evening. And they weren't really, it's not like they were lining out.
Yeah.
They're just doing what they do, kind of hunted a caribou for a minute, kind of did this. And so that's just a sow and a cub covering that distance. That's like, in a nutshell, that's what grizzlies do.
Yeah.
So it's not like you got this resident herd of whitetail like in PA where, I see this buck on trail cam all the time.
Yeah.
So I think people need to realize this is far from guaranteed. You're hunting an animal that is nomadic, and you're not going to probably see 1 million animals, but you don't need to see 1 million. You need to see one in the perfect position.
Yeah.
And so then also it's a very realistic backcountry hunt. The difference is, as a hunter, you don't have to think about all this food weighs this much. How much? What am I going to put my water in? Is this tent that I'm packing in there or in the Super Cub, is it going to withstand the weather? So as a hunter, you don't have to think about that because that's part of what you guys do. But that doesn't mean that you're having steaks out there in the field. It means you're having bagels and bacon and cream cheese, and it was amazing in the morning, and a cup of coffee. It wasn't anything special, but it doesn't need to be. This is a fucking real hunt.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have some ramen noodles.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have a mountain house or not an MRE, but I think you had some Chad Mendez Pete. So, and you're going to have that for dinner.
Yeah.
And that should be okay because that's how mountain hunting works. And so I want people listening to think this is this is real.
Yeah.
It's a real hunt. It's
Yeah.
a real backcountry. You guys take care of getting the stuff there. And I was like, when we first got out, got dropped off from the Beaver, and I was like, we got all this shit all the way back here. How sick is that? Because that, hunters know how hard that is.
Yeah.
Just getting 2 nice tents, all that food, all that back, and I don't know how far from the nearest road, but anyway, it's in the middle of, wilderness. And I was just like, this is sick.
Yeah.
We are freaking set up.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. But I just want people to realize it's not 5-star out there, but it's just what it takes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It really reduces what's important, and it simplifies everything. Like, you need calories. Here's calories. You need to stay focused on a hunt. You stay focused on, there's no distractions. I feel like part of the difficulty when you're hunt out of like a nice lodge is you don't stay in it. When you go out there and all you're eating is like bagels and Mountain House, like, this is just to provide energy so I can go kill. This is not for my entertainment. This is not for my pleasure, except for the barista Starbucks. But that is a little bit of both. But you can have a little bit. But that's kind of it. It's just everything becomes simple and focused, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we yearn for, to awaken that predator where we're just singularly focused on one animal. We're singularly focused on one mission. The hunt. And it's refreshing to me.
You know what it is? It's like it's in a snapshot. You have purpose.
Yes.
And your purpose. And most people in life right now, they wonder, what is my purpose?
Yeah.
It's just like they go to their job, and it's just like it's just a job. They pay their bills. They're kind of behind on bills a little bit, and it's just like, is this it?
Yeah.
But in what you just described, that in a nutshell is like, okay, our purpose is just to survive and kill a bear.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I know what my purpose is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know why I'm alive right now.
Yeah.
And there's something that feels so good about that.
Yeah.
Because you're not like weighing out all these different things, family things and different
Yeah.
things from whatever. You're just like, this is what guys need. Let's tunnel vision. And as you said, you're surviving just so you can kill a bear.
Mm-hmm.
And that is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might not be a 5-star, but all that stuff tastes pretty damn good when you're earning it. Like we were
Chicken,
when you're sitting out on
Alfredo.
the hill,
Yeah.
wind and rain all day, and you get back. That Mountain House that might be 5-star for me.
It's so, I've told the story before, but they're so good out there. After you haven't had much, you got a hot meal, that I'm like, shit, I would eat this at home. And then I get home and cook it up, and I'm just like, oh my God, this fucking sucks. Yeah. But out there, you think it's a prime rib.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, this tastes so freaking good. So yeah, the hot meal. So it's the biggest thing. Hot coffee, hot meal will get you through a lot.
Yeah.
And a handful of blueberries here and there.
Yeah. Well, I know we got breakfast ready. I wanted to sit down and just talk about our experience and what I learned, and kind of the impression you guys made on me and how positive it was. Did you have anything that you wanted to wrap up that people might not know about Bushwhack that maybe we didn't talk about, or maybe on the next one?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes here that we're growing.
Mm-hmm.
We're growing. We really want to obviously expand and give guys opportunities to hunt black bears. We want to give more opportunities for hunters and guys that want to become guides. There's a lot of things that are happening in the background that we're working on, and just stay tuned. And we just, honestly, Cam, on behalf of everyone here, we just thank you for coming.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for showing up. Thank you for what Nate said, is bringing the right attitude to your hunt to make it possible, because it starts with you. Guides can only help, but they can't overcome attitude problems, and it's awesome, man. So thank you for representing hunters and encouraging and inspiring so many people to come out and test themselves. So thank you.
Thanks for the kind words, guys, and thanks, Kip. Love you. Wish you were here, but I know this is going to turn into something special, and it's going to impact thousands of lives. And what you guys are building is amazing. I couldn't be happier. Kip's, like I said, is like a brother, but and that if he's working with you, then that makes you like a brother to me too. So Thank you guys. I appreciate
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
This has been
Yeah, it was a
amazing,
pleasure, man.
David.
Awesome.
Great job. So impressed by you guys. You guys are studs. I can't wait for the next one. I can't wait to hear stories from your other hunters from
Yeah.
this fall. But,
Yeah, come back, get a big brown bear on the coast with us sometime.
oh yeah, that's all I've been thinking about since we were talking about it. I love those big bear. But all right, thanks guys. Let's eat breakfast.
Yeah.
Every step I take, I move my truth. Every time they tell me stop, I use. Every comment, hate that makes my fuel. Gather up my energy and boom. I hear them talking, saying the way that I move is so reckless. That is a part of my mind I've been blessed with. Giving my blood, so I am relentless. My fault, they want someone to blame. They sent their hate, it fuels my pace. I am Roy Tough, I am the change, the fuel in dirt. Feeling like Cam Haines. Oh, give me the Mars, nobody